Everyone, please take your seats, sit down, and we're going to start today's lesson off with a craft. So I want you all to take out your white piece of paper, all right, and you're going to fold it in a triangle along like this, and then you're going to cut this side off. Good, and then after you cut that off, you're going to fold it again, fold your triangle again. Perfect, everyone. And then you're going to cut how you'd like it. Perfect. Okay, good job, everyone. So you've noticed now that we've made snowflakes, if anyone hasn't caught on yet. So I made two prior, so everyone, you can pull apart and it will create a snowflake. Cool, right? Very nice. I like all of your snowflakes. So I want you to look at your neighbors, or you can look at my two examples up here. And do you guys notice anything about the snowflakes? Anyone? Yes?
Mine looks different.
Yes! Do the two up here look different too?
Yeah.
Yeah. So why that is that each snowflake is different. There's no snowflake that's the same, right? And that's what leads us into one of our words for today, which is diversity. Does anybody think they know what diversity means? Anyone have any guesses? And I'll write them up here. Yes, go ahead.
Diversity is when things aren't the same.
Things aren't the same. Okay. Not the same. Okay, good. Very nice. Does anyone else have any guesses? Any guesses at all? Okay. So yeah, this one's pretty good. It's when there's a difference between things, okay? And my other question would be, does anybody know what the word inclusive means? Yes.
Does it mean we don't leave out people?
Yes, it is. It does kind of mean that. Being inclusive is including other people or anything and being nice and kind and bringing people together and inviting people. So on the playground, does anybody have a time on the playground where they think they could be inclusive or have been inclusive? Yes.
When we play soccer, I make sure that everyone can play.
That's perfect. That's a great example. Yes, so being inclusive is including all the people you want in like your game at recess. That's perfect example. And there are many ways to be inclusive and to be nice. So those are our two words of the day. Very good. And now we're going to read a story that involves it's called The Sneetches. And it is about two groups.
Who is it by?
It's by Dr. Seuss.
I like Dr. Seuss.
Yes. I know, it is a class favorite. So we're going to be reading one of his stories.
I think my mom read it to me once before.
That's very good. All right. So, The Sneetches. There it is. I was like, okay. So, now the Starbelly Sneetches had bellies with stars, and Plain Belly Sneetches had none upon theirs. Those stars were so big, they were really so small, you might think such a thing wouldn't matter at all. But because they had stars, all the Starbelly Sneetches would brag, "We're the best kind of Sneetches on the beaches. With their snoots in the air, they would sniff and they'd snort. We'll have nothing to do with those Plain Belly snort." And whenever they met some, when they were walking, they'd hike right past them without even talking. When the Starbelly children went out to play ball, could a Plain Belly get in the game? Not at all. You could play if your bellies had stars upon theirs, and the Plain Belly children had none upon theirs. When the Starbelly Sneetches had Frankfurter roast, or picnics, or parties, or marshmallow toast, they never invited the Plain Belly Sneetches. They left them out in the cold, in the dark of the beaches. They kept them away, never let them come near, and that's how they treated them year after year. So sad. The one day, it seems, while the Plainbelly Sneetches were moping and doping along on the beaches, just sitting there wishing their bellies had stars, the Zanes zipped up in the strangest of cars. "My friends," he announced in a clear and keen voice, "my name is Sylvester McMonkey McBean. I've heard of your troubles. I've heard you're unhappy, but I can fix that. I'm the fix-up champee. I've come here to help you. I have what you need, and my prices are low. I work at great speed, and my work is 100% guaranteed." Then quickly Sylvester McMonkey McBean put together a very particular machine. He said, "You want stars like the Starbelly Sneetch? My friends, you can have them all for $3 each. Just pay me your money and hop right aboard." So they clambered inside. Then the big machine roared, and it clonked, and it bonked, and it jerked, and it burked. It bopped them all about, and the thing really worked. The Plainbelly Sneetches popped out. They had stars. They actually did. They had stars upon theirs. Then they yelled at the ones who had stars at the start, "We're exactly like you. You can't tell us apart. We're just the same now. Now, you snooty old smarties. Now we can go to your Frankfurter parties." "Good grief," gunned the one who had stars at first. "We're still the best Sneetches, and they are the worst. But now how in the world will we know they are frowned? If which kind of what, or the other way around?" Then came McBean with a very sly wink. He said, "Things are not quite as bad as you think. So you don't know who's who? That's perfectly true. But come with me, my friends. Do you know what I'll do? I'll make you again the best Sneetches on the beaches, and all it will cost you is $10 eaches." Sorry, I forgot to show you the page. "Belly stars are no longer in style," said Miss McBean. "What you need is a trip to the Star-Off machine. This wondrous contraption will take off your stars so you won't look like the Sneetches who have them upon theirs. And that handy machine, working very precisely, removed all the stars from their tummies quite nicely." Then with their snoots in the air, they paraded about, and they opened their beaks, and they let out a shout. "We know who is who. Now there isn't a doubt. The best kind of Sneetches are the Sneetches without." Then, of course, those with stars all got frighteningly mad. To be wearing a star now was frighteningly bad. When, of course, old Sylvester McMonkey McBean invited them into his Star-Off machine. And then, of course, from then on, you probably guess things really got into a horrible mess. All the rest of the day on those wild screaming beaches, the fix-up champee kept fixing up Sneetches. Off again, on again, in again, out again. Through the machine they raced around and about, again, changing their stars every minute or two. They kept paying money and kept running through until neither the Plain nor the Starbellies knew whether this one was one, or the one was this one, or which one was what one, or what one was who. Jumbled over my words a lot. Then when every last cent of their money was spent, the fix-up champee packed up and he went. Then he laughed as he drove in his car up the beach. They'll never learn. No, you can't teach a Sneetch. But Mr. McBean was quite wrong. I'm quite happy to say the Sneetches got really quite smart on that day. The day they decided that Sneetches are Sneetches and no kind of Sneetch is the best on the beaches. That day, all the Sneetches forgot about stars and whether they had one or not upon theirs. The end. So, when reading that book, did anybody have anything that stuck out to them about it or anything? Yes.
Why did they keep switching their stars?
So, they wanted to keep switching their stars to see because the original ones who thought they were better with stars wanted to keep switching so they could get better, and the people who didn't have stars in the beginning wanted to keep switching back and forth so they could also be allowed to hang out with the rest of the group.
How would they be better? They just got stars.
Well, that was, in their opinion, because they had stars that they were better.
But they're not.
Mm-hmm. So that goes into my question. Even though somebody has stars and is different, do you really think that makes them better than somebody else?
No.
No, you're right. So no, it doesn't matter if they had stars or they didn't, because then it ended up in the end that they were all mixed matched and nobody knew who was an original Starbelly and who wasn't. So it didn't matter, and now they all hang out because there is no best person on the beach. It's all about being nice. Did anybody realize in the beginning of the story that they were left out of games?
Yeah, that's like how people sometimes did to me when I first came to school.
Yeah, and how'd that make you feel?
It made me really sad.
Yeah, and so that's why we have to be, our word of today is be inclusive, because it's not nice to leave people out. It makes people feel bad, right? That's how it made you feel. Well, it makes people feel bad, so you need to be nice and include others so that they don't feel that way. Because, like it says, it doesn't matter if you've got stars or no stars. They all lived on the beach and no one was better than anybody else. And so they all could have just hung out and been happy, but they made other people feel bad because they thought they were better. So instead, we have to be inclusive and nice and kind to each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, so that was today's lesson.
Thank you, Miss Lynn.